Hello everyone. Okay, so this layout process is going to be a bit different than my normal ones because I really wanted to focus on altering these cut files. So this is a set of cut files from Cut to You, and it's called a page builder set. So you get all of these little bits and pieces that you can cut out and use on your page. And pretty much when you have all these little pieces, your page is fairly done. So instead of focusing on the actual layout process, I'm going to focus on how I'm going to alter and work with these cut files. So I have some beautiful, gorgeous embossing powders from Emerald Creek. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss these die cuts, so they're cut on just white cardstock, and by heat embossing them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them this lovely enamel glisten and shine and color. And this is a super quick, easy, and oh so fun way to give your cut files just a different look. So it doesn't look like paper anymore. It looks like an enamel shape. So what I did there was, this is the lime embossing powder, and I just coated it up. Now I'm hitting it with my super hot heat tool, and I'm actually going to go ahead and give each of these things a couple of passes. So I let my embossing cut file dry just a little bit, and then I'm going to dip it back into the embossing powder. You could do this multiple times. I did mine about 3. And then there were a couple places that didn't stick real well, and I wanted to make sure those got really good and coated. So as you do these embossing layers, you get this nice puffy enamel sheen to your cut files. It's super fun and gorgeous. So I'm just going to hit all of these embossing powders. There's my summer. I'm going to set that off to the side. And then I'm going to go ahead. I like to just use a piece of folded copy paper. Some people use coffee filters, but I find coffee filters tend to be too small. And so what I end up doing, inevitably, is I end up dumping my embossing powder all over my desk. I am not the neatest embosser. I will tell you that right now. So now I'm going to do my clouds, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to get some embossing powder, and this time, instead of putting the shape into the ink pad, I'm going to put the ink pad over the shape, only because these were really kind of small and delicate. And then this is called Dusk embossing powder. These are all embossing powders from Emerald Creek. These, I had to do the clouds a number of times because they were so small and so delicate, and they just needed, if I wanted the color to pop out really well, I really needed to give them a really heavy coat. So, burned my fingers, yes, because I started heating this and it started melting, and then I realized that it was going to blow because of how delicate it was going to blow it everywhere, and that wasn't such a great, fabulous idea. So, but yeah, this is a really fun way to alter cut files, do something a little bit different, and just give them a different look and feel. I am going to back these with paper, but of course you wouldn't have to. You could just leave them like this, like an enamel shape. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I grabbed an old clothespin that I keep nearby for just this occasion, and yet I did not pick it up. Oddness. And I'm going to go ahead and heat these up a couple of times. I left most of the embossing in, because if you're new to embossing, I know embossing is really big, card makers do it all the time, but for scrapbookers, it isn't something we necessarily see a lot of, and so I thought it would be really nice, instead of doing a traditional process video with just the finished product, especially because the layout came together so quick, I thought I would focus on how I emboss the cut files, and that gives you something new to try, and you can use it on your scrapbook pages. And so that was my plan, and I hope that you like the way that I did this, like more as a tutorial and less like a traditional process video. So I have my clouds done. I'm going to put a couple layers on those. And then I'm going to move on to the sun cut file. And so for the sun, I am going to be using some hammered metal embossing powder. Now, hammered hammered metal. Is it hammered metal or hammered gold? I don't remember the exact name. It's one of those two. I almost want to say it might be, no, you know what? It's not hammered anything. It's charred gold. That's right. Okay, so you see how dark it looks? This is going to be totally cool, guys. So this starts out as being a very dark embossing powder, but then after you put a couple of layers on it and you heat it up, you end up with this beautiful gold color, and it turns out so, so pretty. And again, I'm using that clothespin to kind of hold everything in place, and I'm going to let everything get smooth and melty, and I'm going to give this a couple of, I'm just waiting for it to dry. Yeah, definitely cool it down before you put another layer of embossing ink on, or you get a not nice result. But it doesn't take long for it to cool, so it's totally fine. So we have another layer of embossing powder, and you can put 2 layers, you can put 3, you can do up to 4 or 5, and you're going to get this beautiful gold effect on your cut files. Okay, so now that I have enough embossing powder on all my cut files that I really like the way that they look, I'm going to back them. Yes, I am going to back them. And you can see there by the light hitting it how it's not as dark as that embossing powder started out with raw. Or pre-melting, maybe is a better term, I don't know. All right, so now we're going to back them. I am using papers from the Heart and Hustle collection by Amy Tangerine. For whatever reason, these papers scream summer to me. I think that they just are beautiful summer colors, and I love how they set off my photos. This is a collection that I bought, and I have all of it, and I pretty much only use it for summer photos. I have a hard time with summer collections because quite often they are very pool themed or beach themed, and a lot of times our particular summer outings don't include water, so I don't know. Anyway, I am going to go ahead and back all these cut files with these beautiful bright papers, and then I'm going to create my layout. So I left out the process of actually creating this layout mostly because for time constraints, I didn't want this video to be crazy long. And I mostly just wanted to focus on the technique of using embossing powders to alter cut files because I do think it's something that not a lot of scrapbookers do, and I think it's something that is really fun. I think it could be a really fun new technique to try for anybody. And plus, once I had these cut files backed and embossed, the rest of it was just super duper easy. So I'm just cutting around this summer, getting all the little bits and pieces out, and then I'm going to layer it underneath there. When I did this particular cut file, I just wanted certain colors of stripes, and so I was super glad that I had, just happy accident, had gone ahead and cut these particular cut files at the perfect height to be able to do that. So I'm using some of this Eileen's Tacky Glue that was in my cherry box for June, and I did really like it. It works well. The only thing is, you can see here, it likes to get clogged. So while the glue itself is nice and I have no problem with it, the tube is a little sketchy. And I think at some point I switched. Yep. I switched to my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, which is my go-to adhesive for all these kinds of things. Although I also have a close to my heart one that's like a glue pen, and for bigger cut files, that one works much better than the tiny drops of glue. But sometimes my choice in what glue I use for a cut file or for anything really is based more upon whether that cut file, whatever glue is at hand, so the closest to me is the one that I grab. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to back that beautiful summer, and then I'm going to back my sun and the clouds using all the different fun pattern papers from this collection. So there's my summer, and then I have my sun here, and I'm going to back it with that paper, and you see the paper that I'm going to back the clouds with. And now I'm just showing you the completed layout. So I titled my layout Summer in the City because as you know, I'm on the Emerald Creek design team, and this month that is our theme. And even though I missed being able to create a project for the blog this month due to my grandfather's death, I still really wanted to be able to create a project to share for this kind of challenge. So I just very little of this layout required other things besides those embossed die cuts, which is why I focus primarily on creating those embossed die cuts. So there's my layout, and here are some close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much to Audrey for inviting me to be part of her Summer Scrappin series. And I highly encourage you to try this, embossing these small die cuts as embellishments on your layout. I will see you all again soon. Bye.